Hey, my dandelions. It is June 1st, so you already know what that means. This is the start of Pride Month. Shout out to my fellow LGBT brothers and sisters and everyone in between, everyone included. Big shout out. I love you all so much. And I wanted to get into about what makes me proud. Proud to be me. I didn't always love myself, and we're going to talk about it, because learning to love yourself is the most important thing you can do, and I promise you that your life changes. The entire script flips once you learn to love yourself. So I've known I was gay since I was about 4 years old. Mind you, back then I didn't know what it was. I didn't know the word gay. I just knew something felt different and that I enjoyed being around other guys more than I enjoyed being around the girls in that way. And as I started getting a little bit older and like people started having little crushes and stuff, you know, like we did in elementary school, I wasn't crushing on girls, but I did notice when I would watch TV, I would be really in tune with the boy characters. I couldn't explain it. And then it started when I was probably in like 2nd, 3rd grade. I started getting called gay. I started getting called slurs. People started teasing me. That was fun. I remember going home one day from school and asking my mom, someone said I was gay. What does that mean? I've never heard of that word. And my mom said, sweetie, that's not you. Those people don't know what they're talking about. Being gay means you like other boys. I know that's not you. And I said, oh, okay. And I went to my room and I sat with it. And I was like, that's the word. That's the word that explains me. I do like other boys. What does she know? What is she talking about? I now know what it's called. And mind you, growing up, from that point forward, I was like, I'm gay. But I'm not going to tell anybody that. After what my mom just told me, I'm good. I got to come to terms with myself first. But I now know the word for it. And growing up, man, was I gay. I was feminine. I started hanging out and becoming best friends with the girls. I wasn't attracted to girls, but we were best friends. They understood me. I liked playing with their dolls. I liked their company. I just felt correct around them. And I think also because they liked boys too, so they understood it. But I didn't come out to anybody, not till high school. I can remember though, starting from an early age, like really early on, I started developing crushes. I started realizing what my type was. I started crushing. So I made friends with this one kid in class because we both loved video games, and he invited me to his house one day to play the new Simpsons video game. Baby, this was back in the days of like Super Nintendo. It was so long ago. And I remember when I got to his house, I went in to play video games with him, and his dad came in there and asked us if we wanted a soda or whatever, and I thought his dad was very handsome. I remember just being enamored by him. He was tall. He had salt and pepper hair. And y'all, it's when I started realizing I like big, burly men. He was tall and he was big. He had a big belly. And he was so kind to me. And he was just like, you know, if you're hungry, if you want any snacks, just let me know. He's like, and I hope y'all are having fun. And that was that. It was never anything beyond that. And I hung out with him a couple more times. His dad was the nicest gentleman. And I was really attracted to him. And I was just like, I went home with it and I was like, oh my God. I like chubby men. I'm really attracted to chubby guys. Honestly. And nothing's changed. I am big time involved with like the bear community online, just supporting my fellow bears, chubby guys, uplifting them, letting them know like you are gorgeous. Like I want you to know to love yourself, and I want you to see yourself through my eyes and just know how great you are. Flash forward to high school, and I came out to one of my friends. This is the first person I came out to. Her name was Amy. She was super loving and accepting of me. I knew she would be. And we bonded over it for the next couple years while we were still in school before we graduated. And it was nice just to be out to somebody finally. And now, mind you, back at home life was difficult. When I was about 16 years old, my brother was killed by a drunk driver. I was born on my brother's 8th birthday. So February 12th, every year, it was our birthday. And from that point forward, birthdays, it's just not the same. And I don't really celebrate birthdays. I celebrate my brother. And I let him know how much I miss him. And so home life, my mom and dad drifted so far apart from me because they were grieving, and I just never had the chance to. It was never good timing. I never wanted to come out because we were grieving that loss, and it wasn't till right before I graduated that I was literally having my own mental breakdown. I remember driving home from school one day, and I just wanted to let go. I didn't want to do this anymore. I was stressed out because I was an AP honor roll student. I was taking private piano lessons. I didn't have a good home life because my mom and dad were always fighting and screaming and grieving. It was grief. It was never anything more than that. And I just remember one day driving home from school, and I was just thinking to myself, it would be so easy if I just let go of the steering wheel. It'd be so easy. And at that moment, a song came on the radio. And I'll never forget it. And to this day, I cry every time I hear this song. It's the song Breathe by Michelle Branch. And in that moment, I just zoned out, and all I could hear was the words, if I just breathe, let it fill the space between, I know everything will be all right if I just breathe. And in that moment, I swear I could feel a presence, a warmth, put their arms around me. It was in that moment that I truly connected with God. And it was in that moment that I was like, man, you love me so much that you saved my life right now. You played this song for me when I needed it most, and I feel your arms around me. And it was the most intense, amazing love, y'all. And I realized at that point, I have no reason to let go. Put my hands, grip that steering wheel so hard, and I was like, I'm gonna go home, and I'm gonna confront my parents, and I'm gonna tell them, you guys are grieving, I'm grieving too, but I'm still here, and I need you, because I'm at wit's end and I'm losing my grip. And I went home and I had that conversation with them. And it was from that night forward that they came back to me. And it was from that night forward, I prayed on things and I was like, I have to let it go. I can never hold this over them because they didn't know how to grieve the loss of their son either. I didn't know how to grieve the loss of my brother. I couldn't hold it over them. So from that moment forward, we turned the page and we reconnected, and me and my parents became the best friends. I still didn't come out to them though, because I was like, we have so much healing and mending to do before that even comes around. I came out to my mom, well, it was a year or so after I graduated high school. She confronted me. She outed me, y'all. My mom outed me. She came to my room one day. I was sitting in there studying for one of my college classes. And she knocked on the door and she was like, baby bear, can I come in? I want to ask you a question. And I was like, sure, come on in, Mom. And she came in and she was like, I was about 20 years old. She was like, baby bear. That's what she always called me. And I called her Mama Bear. She was like, baby bear, you're 20 years old. You've never brought a girl home. You've never talked about a girlfriend, a girl crush. I've never known you to go on a date. Are you gay? And I looked at her for a second. She was like, because if you are, I love you forever, and that would never make me feel different. She's like, you know, my brother and my sister are both gay. She had like 8 sisters and 4 brothers, mind you. And I was just like, Mom, I love you to death. You're truly my best friend. Mom, I'm gay. I'm gay, and I'm sorry I never told you sooner, but just everything with life going on. And she was like, don't ever apologize. You weren't ready to come out, and I might not have been ready to receive it either, but I love you. And she gave me the biggest hug, and she told me, I'm not gonna tell your dad, don't worry. That's between you and him. I just smiled and laughed, and I was like, Mom, You truly are the best woman I've ever known, the best mom. I love you. Thank you for making me feel safe. I didn't come out to my dad until it was my mom's birthday, 11/23/2010. I had been dating my husband, my now husband, for almost 2 months, and I wanted him to meet my parents so bad. I was tired of hiding it because I knew that me and him were in game. I love that man to death with my whole heart, and I knew it from the night we met. We fell in love at first sight. It was just like our hearts and souls just went, they just interlocked each other. So I came to my dad and I told him, because we were taking my mom out to Landry's at Kima Boardwalk for dinner. And I told my dad, I was like, Dad, it would be really special and important to me if I could introduce you and Mom, to someone extremely special tonight. And so my dad said, of course, son, who is it? And I looked at him and I stuttered for a second. And I was just like, Dad, I want to introduce y'all to this really amazing guy that I met. Dad, I'm gay, and I think I'm in love with someone, and I want you guys to meet him because I want him to stick around. And I was so nervous to tell my dad this. And my dad looked at me and he said, it would be an honor, son. I've had a feeling about you for a while, but I wanted you to tell me. And I'm glad that you finally feel safe enough. And I'd apologized to him and I told him, it's not that I didn't feel safe enough, it's just with everything going on. He was like, you don't need to explain. Bring him, I want to meet him tonight. And I remember my now husband was so nervous. I was like chewing my fingers. He walked up to my dad and I was like, Dad, this is James. Mom, Dad, this is James. And I really like him. And my dad gave him the biggest hug and was just like, you two be safe and take care of each other. And guess what? He's like, I think you're a Thomas now, sir. And I remember James, I could see his heart explode when my dad said that, and he shook my dad's hand and was just like, it's an honor, sir, thank you. And of course my mom was just so happy and big hugs and was just like, oh my God, finally. She was like, I'm so happy to meet you. And the rest was history. And then from that point forward, James and my parents they became very close. And until my mom passed, they were like this. And then my dad is still very close with us. As close as we can be with certain things considered. But I love my dad and I appreciate him and adore him more than he'll ever know. He's helped me out to survive these past 2 or 3 years with this economy and with my medical leave and everything, and I can't thank him enough, and I pray to God I'll at least be able to pay him back what I do owe him. But flash forward now, I talked about learning to love yourself. I didn't learn to love myself until I got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And I didn't learn to love myself until a few years into being diagnosed with it and relapsing and having struggles and losing the ability to walk and coming back from it and losing the ability to walk again and coming back from it again. And praying and talking to God about it, and all those nights of woe is me, why is this happening to me? Only to realize this isn't God's fault. God's gonna help me navigate it and get through it, as He always does. It was one day, it must have been 2018. Lizzo released her new album, and she had a song on it called Soulmate. In the song, she literally says, like, she's learning to love herself, and she says, I'm my own soulmate. Nobody's gonna love me the way I'm gonna love me. And I've gotta just love myself with my whole heart. And that's all I needed to hear. And I was just like, damn. I gotta be my own soulmate so that I can give my entire heart and soul and being to James and to anybody else. Anybody else meaning my family, my friends, everybody. And from that point forward, it has been a journey, an eat, pray, love journey, if you will, to love myself wholeheartedly, irrevocably, because nobody's gonna love me harder than me except my husband. Shout out James. And I gotta say, so many people in our community, they're so quick to want to fall in love and to give that beautiful undying love to others, and a lot of times it's to others who don't necessarily deserve it. Learn to give that love to yourself, because once you give it to yourself and you love yourself that hard, the relationship, everything, the world changes. You become unstoppable. And it's an everyday thing. You're not just gonna fall in love with yourself and be like that the whole rest of your life. You have to actively keep fighting for that love and keep falling in love with yourself every day. But it is so worth it, you guys. So for the month of Pride, the start here, June 1st, I want you guys to be for real. I want you to fall in love with yourself. I want you to take that time, work on your mental health, learn to love yourself, learn to become unstoppable. And I'm here if you ever need me, if you ever need to talk. I promise. I've been a house mother for many years now. I got you. And I love you so much. Happy Pride to all my LGBTQs. Love you all. Take care.